Before I tell this story, I just want to say that I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing, and ask for your understanding and forgiveness if in retrospect it turns out that I went about sharing this information in the wrong way. Personally, I'm not the type to talk about this kind of stuff in real life, but especially on social media. And this is one of the more uncomfortable videos I think I've ever made, so bear with me. I've been doing this content stuff long enough to learn how invested the casual viewer is. And by all means, I get that. Social media is supposed to be an enjoyable escape. But I've literally gotten messages, asking how old Granny is on videos in which she says her age. So I apologize for kind of making you guys jump through hoops to come to this YouTube channel to share this information, but it was just my way of kind of keeping it personal as I still come to terms with it myself, if that makes any sense. So I guess this story starts with a phone call 16 years ago. After my mom hung up, all she said was, "Pray your grandmother has found peace with the Lord," and jets out the front door. What the heck, Mom? Turned out Granny had some sort of lump on her spine. She needed emergency surgery, and the doctor says there was a 50-50 chance that she would make it through. And as I'm sure you can put together, she did. After the surgery, she actually lived with us for a bit, and she had to relearn how to walk, among other things. And for the past 16 years, every 3 or 6 months when she went to the doctors, we were reminded that she most likely had 1 or 2 years left to live. And as you know, that estimate was constantly outdone for 16 years. I want to be clear with what I'm about to say, that I'm not trying to tell you to live your life in fear of death, especially with the holidays coming up. If you go into Thanksgiving dinner thinking about how this is going to be the last Thanksgiving with Granny, even though you're there, you're going to be consumed by the worry and fear of something that didn't even happen yet. You're going to miss out on it. But when a doctor gives a time limit for a family member, it definitely shapes perspective. All of a sudden, when I would drive by Granny's street, I'd think, I can always watch the Sixers, but I'm not always going to be able to pop in and see Granny. You know that Tim McGraw song, "Live Like You're Dying"? Guy finds out he has cancer, and all of a sudden, going fishing wasn't such an imposition. I don't fish, but I feel like I've lived the sentiment of that song with Granny for the past 16 years. And it's crazy how life goes. Had I known she had 16 years, I wouldn't have spent all those Saturday nights playing all those games of Rummy that are so boring, but she loved. Had I known she had 16 years, I would not have been so quick to say yes when she asked me to take her food shopping. Had I known she had 16 years, I wouldn't have gotten to build all of those amazing memories and fun times with her that I get to share with you guys. And that's the irony of the whole thing. I felt like I've confronted her death for the past 16 years before it arrived. And early last Saturday morning, that call came. She passed in her sleep, in her home, like she always said she wanted to ever since I was a little kid. And now that it's here, I almost feel guilty saying this, but I'm not really sad. I mean, I'm sad, but I'm sad like when you get to the end of your favorite book. You don't want the book to end, but you can see that there aren't too many pages left to go. And you knew from the start that no book lasts forever. So when it's over, you're sad that it's over, but you also bask in the story and you replay your favorite parts in your head, and you feel lucky that you got the privilege to read the book for 89 years, which is something that I never took for granted, and I know Granny didn't either. And of course I'm gonna miss her, but like she reminded me as she was saying her goodbyes, as I'm bawling my eyes out, she put on her rare sweet voice and said, "Oh, it's just natural, sweetheart." And then, in true Granny fashion, as I'm trying to pull myself together, she screams out to the otherwise empty room, so it's just me and her, "Okay, let's go." I was like, what? Do you want me to do something? Like, what? I started cracking up, so I'm not 100% sure that I heard her right over my laughter and my tears, but I'm 95% sure she said, "Time to die." And of course she lived another 2 weeks after that episode, all that crying for nothing. Too angry to die, man. I've been thinking about why this is so hard to talk about. And of course, since it just happened, there's the element of me not wanting to be a downer. Ed, those videos are hilarious. How's Granny doing? Well, she just died, so I guess it depends on how you view the afterlife. But on top of that, I've come to the conclusion that the reason that this topic is so hard to talk about is a testament to the goodness in people. I would bet that if any random person heard that I just lost my grandmother, whether they knew the videos or not, I would bet that they instantly empathize with me. Death is one of the only things that bind us all together. It's confusing, it's unknown, and unfortunately, it's inevitable. It's something that when you hear anyone dealing with loss, you just have this urge to alleviate their confusion or pain because you understand it or don't understand it just the same way. But it's impossible to do it. That's why everybody says the same thing. I'm sorry for your loss. Because nobody knows what the heck to say or do. And me personally, just the way I am, I like to avoid that awkward conversation like the plague. COVID joke, which Granny did not have. She was tested a week before she went. But I realize the only reason it's awkward is because people, whether it's a best friend or a stranger on the internet, care. I know a lot of people might think that all these followers and views and likes show me how special my grandmother is. Truth is, it did the opposite. It showed me how normal she is. I think we all have this tendency to think their family or their situation is different, or that their pain or their struggle or their fights are just so unique. And yeah, each family and person has their own set of unique circumstances, don't get me wrong. But seeing how people from literally all over the world could relate to my grandmother, whether it was her attitude or her yelling or the millions of other things that people have said, well, that's just like my Mimi or my Peepop or whatever version of Mum they had in their life. It really drives it home for me that we're all in this together. That whatever it is we're going through, we're not alone. And that's a comforting thing. I plan on continuing to share the videos I have of her, and I got plenty. But hey, if knowing what you know now, if that's not your cup of tea, by all means, go watch something that's going to make you happy. My only hope is that you take away that perspective that I feel so lucky to have learned from you guys. That whatever it is you're going through, no matter how unique or weird or unrelatable, you're not alone in it. Someone else out there, millions of people out there, can relate to it in some way, I'm sure. This is the part of the video where YouTubers say give it a thumbs up if you liked it, which I think is so funny. It's like on Instagram when someone shares something tragic and you want to like it to show support, but you also don't want to like their tragedy. It's always so confusing. Instead, I just want to ask if you please understand how confused I am to share this information. Being that it was so recent, it is against every fiber of my being to talk about it with anybody, especially on the internet. I take after Granny in the sense that I don't like to dwell on things to the point that I just prefer to ignore them completely, which is not good. Never claimed to be perfect, but I couldn't not share it with you guys who have been so supportive and fun and encouraging and honestly added so much joy to the final year of her life. Alright, as Granny would say, enough! Let's go! I have a ton of videos that I haven't shared, and it's a lot of fun going through it, and I'm excited to share them here. I had talked about this with Granny, and she just loves the fact that she can continue to bring joy to people even after she's gone. And on top of that, I really hope that this channel can help encourage people to remember to cherish the little things in life while they're still here. Thanks for watching, guys.
Thank you and God bless you. Bye, everybody. Okay, let's go.
What did I do with it? What did I do with it? I went skydiving, I went Rocky Mountain climbing.
We made it.
Yeah.
That was fun. What are you going to come back as?
A witch.
No. I thought you were going to come back as a yellow bird, Mom.
No.
Mama, why would you be a witch?
So I can put a spell on
No.
you.
Stop that. No.
Why?